in last night's strike, and that members of his top military leadership, thus was the supposition by General Downing, were killed. As we have reported, we are still trying to determine the fate of Saddam Hussein of Iraq. A very interesting development here, and remember, communications being what they are, rumors being what they are, the question has to be asked, if and when Saddam Hussein becomes a military target, and if the U.S. is successful, how long will it take for the word to filter down, for the fighting forces to get the word as Americans advance, that the fight is up, that there has been de facto regime change in Iraq. As unusual as it is for this administration, top officials of the Bush administration are running late for a briefing. General, you can see the same screen I can. We should chat here before they walk into the room. You guessed that this may be a possibility, that they got a few of the top lieutenants, but the big guy escaped.
You know, Brian, I think it's very interesting. I thought it was Saddam Hussein all along. He presented himself in a guise. He has never worn those heavy black glasses before in public. And the other thing, he was reclining, if you will remember, when he gave that briefing in a way that he normally doesn't brief. He wasn't up like I am assertively. He was laying back. And his speech patterns, I thought, were not what I had heard in the past. This report about him possibly being wounded certainly could come from a more detailed analysis of that posture. So, I mean, I think if this is true, and of course remember the adage that you and I are going to go by, the first report's neither as good nor as bad as you get.
That's right.
But I'll tell you, if this is true and they got some key people, that's going to hurt them operationally, but the psychological impact on that inner circle is going to be big, and that is exactly what the war plan's supposed to do. We want to topple a regime here. We don't want to defeat the Iraqi armed forces in detail. So, you know, God willing this thing happened. I hope it did, and this is just going to help us finish this thing rapidly.
This may steal some of the thunder of this briefing. I've just been handed another note that says Turkish Parliament today has voted to allow the use of airspace by the U.S. Armed Forces. 202 no votes, 332 yes votes, and 1 abstention. So that will help. While it won't allow the 4th to march on through, it will allow a lot of flights overland.
Well, that's true. Thank you, Turkey. And you know, instead of $32 billion, maybe we ought to give them 32 cents for what they did to this.
There has been
these war plans.
So much talk about the amount of money that will change hands between the United States and Turkey, and it looks like the United States thought they were getting in their let's call it a foreign policy investment. They thought they were getting ground space. They will only get air. What can they do at this late date? The conflict is this close to being underway.
Oh no, that helps them immeasurably. I mean, not only can they supposedly shoot some cruise missiles. Brian, if they can do refueling over that airspace, that helps alleviate the air traffic. You know, this job of conducting these fighter sorties, these strike packages. I mean, it's like a big traffic cop, you know, up there in the sky with 5 carriers.
AWACS high above.
Absolutely. Well, not only one AWACS. I mean, during the Gulf War, we had 3 AWACSs. I mean, that's how big it was. So having another conduit up there relieves a lot of traffic here, is going to enable us to bring a lot more air in and probably do it a lot more effectively than what we had in the past.
And we were worried, even commanders we spoke to say their one worry was the north, where the Kurds and the Turks are a huge potential problem as this fight enters what they hope would be its last stages.
And Brian, this air access doesn't help us as far as getting the ground forces to fill the vacuum unless we use paratroopers. We do have a very capable airborne brigade, 173rd, that's in Vicenza, Italy. I mean, that's a nice jump for them up there where we to use that. We've got at least 1 brigade of the 82nd Airborne Division here in theater. And by the way, that's a very stretched division, Brian. You know, that operation we discussed this morning that's taking place in Afghanistan is being conducted by one brigade of the 82nd Airborne Division. You've got another one here fighting in this theater.
Here we go. There is Secretary Rumsfeld and General Myers going to the podium.